Okay.
Live from PATV Studios, it's the Lyle Style Show. And now, the man with the most style, it's your host, Lyle Style.
Hey, welcome to a beautiful edition of the Lyle Style Show. We have a very special guest. He's a brilliant guy. I met him. We talked a little bit on the Facebook and stuff like that. Very talented. He has a syndicated talk show coming out called Mr. Nashville Talks out of Nashville, Tennessee. Also a music producer with the famous Dottie Dottie Rambo, which she passed away on the bus bus crash. So he was her manager. So we're gonna be talking to him in a two-part series I'm doing with him today. So I want to introduce you to my good friend Larry Ferguson. Larry, welcome to the Lyle Style Show, man.
Hello, Lyle. And
Yeah.
I got a lot of great friends in Iowa.
You do?
I'm glad to be talking to you.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad, man. We talked a lot. I want to say this, that, hey, man, I was praying for you. I pray that you feel better and that your throat, and you know you were sick for a little bit. How you feeling?
Well, yeah, I apologize if I sound a little bit of raspy, but I caught a bad sore throat, cold or something over the weekend, so I was kind of being silent last night and everything, so I could be good and ready for you today. So everybody at my house was really happy that my mouth wasn't running, because usually I talk all the time. But I had to keep it. I had to keep it and save it for you. So I didn't want to miss this for anything.
Well, hey, I'm honored that you're a guest on my show, and it's a blessing. Now you have. Let the viewers know a little background about you. Now you got kids, don't you?
Yes. I have two sons. I have my oldest son is Christian, and he'll be 17 in February. And then my youngest son is 12. His name is Pierce, and he'll be 13 in August. So I'm an old man.
Oh my goodness!
And I have two puppies.
Oh, yeah, two. Okay, you have two puppies. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm a pet dad and I'm a pet parent and a normal parent.
Okay. And okay, now tell us a little bit of background about how did you get started in the entertainment business and doing what you're doing now.
Well, I loved it ever since I was a little kid because I was an only child, so television was kind of my best friend, really. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of people around, so I watched a lot of television. Of course, I read and all of that too. But I was real involved in church, and I started helping out in gospel concerts. As a teenager, I would help these promoters, promote their shows and put out flyers and invite everybody and send out notes and help them get their shows successful. And then I started doing that on my own when I was a later teenager, almost an adult, not quite. And then later progressed into my own business and doing gospel shows and country shows and got to work with my hero, Dottie Rambo.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, we developed a friendship. And then I ended up moving to Nashville to manage her when she had needed to make some changes in her organization. And she asked me to do it, and I was so honored because, like I said, she was a hero of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I probably would not have stepped out on as much faith had that not came along, had she not came along and offered that. But because I kind of grew content in my life as a husband and everything at the time, and just working a full-time job and then doing the business thing with the gospel and also country shows on the side. And so that's kind of how I got started. But when I was a kid, I would get into everything. Actually, I was a photographer first.
Oh, you was?
When I was a young boy, about 13 years old, I started selling photos through a service to magazines. And so not anything like bad shots or, you know, those paparazzi type things, but more like public events and concerts and, you know, things that made the artists look good. And so that's actually, I kind of forgot about that, but that's how I actually kind of got started. Actually, as a kid, I was doing that, and I started selling my pictures through them, and you know, they would buy a bunch and pay royalties on them and everything, and then they find out I was just a little 13-year-old kid. They thought they were dealing with an old man.
Oh man!
But yeah, so I've always been an old soul. I don't like to be called old, of course, and I'm not that old. But
yeah, you still young.
I've always, yeah. When I was a kid, I always kind of never did like the hip things that everybody else did. I was always more into the legendary type people, and the people I grew up watching on television, you know, and probably some of the same people you love, and I still think they're better than any talent that's out there today.
Yeah,
I'll take Aretha Franklin over Beyonce any day.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I don't want
old
the
school.
Beehive to come after me though.
Her
fans, they come after you.
Yeah, you probably met some of these people at one time.
Yeah. Well, I actually I've not met Beyonce or Aretha. Now, Aretha, I would love to. I almost did once, but it didn't work out where I was free. But I have met Whitney Houston and a lot of and some of the popular new ones like Jessica Simpson when she was hot on the scene, and a Kid Rock, and you know, a lot Demi Lovato and Miley Cyrus, and yeah, a lot of those young ones I met. A lot of times it was taking my kids to see them, you know, and my son, when he was little, he would go to school, and all these people would talk about their favorite stars, you know, and who their favorites were, and he said, well, why don't you go and meet them and get your picture with them? They said, we can't meet these people. And he said, oh, yeah, you can. You just, he was so used to me being able to take him to these things.
Right,
you know, through the music business. And because he was, you know, we were fortunate enough on a lot of them. And, but he couldn't understand why their parents couldn't take them. He just thought everybody's parents did that.
Yeah, because you was involved in all these legendary people at the time and stuff.
Yes, yeah. And that's one thing I really love about my older son.
Yeah.
He is very well-rounded. Now, he does like his Beyoncés and Nicki Minaj's and all those people, but he loves the legends, you know, and he loves Dolly. Dolly's his favorite. And but he loves, you know, the older country artists like Loretta Lynn and all those people, too. And he loves, you know, Aretha, and he's really well-versed and talented. And he knows talent, is what I'm trying to say. He's not just listening to the bubblegum stuff on the radio. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. But I think it's great when we can give our kids a good culture where they know a little bit of everything.
Oh, exactly right. I totally agree with that, you know. So, I mean, when I found out about what you was doing, and when we talked a little bit on Facebook and stuff, I was so fascinated, you know, about, you know, your music and especially gospel, you know, gospel and country music, and I know that you really seem like really good friends with Dolly Parton. And how did that come about?
Oh well, Dolly, I'm buddies with her in the music business. You know, we don't hang out and go to McDonald's, but I have got to go to a barbecue at her place and her estate in East Tennessee. It's a beautiful place. She built on where she was born. She bought the log cabin and made like a little private town that she goes and can go and write songs at and everything. It's really neat. It's not too far from Dollywood, but it's up in the mountains.
Okay.
And yeah, Dolly, I love working with her when I have the opportunity, and I just love seeing her. I first met her. I was a fan of Dolly since I was about 3. I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna just embarrass myself here, but she was my first crush.
Really?
I didn't know what she looked like at all when I first. my dad was a rock and roller.
Okay.
And when we were young, we weren't allowed to listen to country music. I wasn't. He said, "Oh, that's corny. You got to listen to," he was a young dad at the time, And so we never did listen to the country stations. But Dolly became such a huge star that her music crossed over to the rock and roll stations.
Oh, okay.
And 9 to 5 was such a big song. And I loved that song. And my Aunt Mildred took me to see the movie. And when I saw her on the screen, I just fell in love with her. I thought she was the most beautiful thing. First of all, that was my favorite song at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I saw her, I thought, this is the most beautiful woman I ever laid my eyes on, And I was just 3 years old, and I still remember it.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I was hooked on her. And so later in life, I always kept up with her and bought everything I could get my hands on. And then when she built her park, it made it easier to go see her as a kid. And so I went to a lot of her shows there as a fan, and got to meet her several times over the years before I got to work with her.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get to really work with her until after I started working with Dottie Rambo.
Oh, okay.
Because they had been old friends. And they had lost track of each other. They were dear friends, but in the business. And a lot of times, like in the business, we're all friends, but we don't see each other all the time.
Right.
And we only see each other when we work together. But we still love each other, and we're still buddies and all that type of thing. But we don't get to necessarily always sit around and hang out together or something like that. That would be amazing if we could. But I got them back together because everyone, that loved both. Their fan base was very similar, is what I'm trying to say. And so I thought they should definitely get reacquainted and collaborate together. And they did. They recorded together, and then that's how I kind of built my professional relationship with Dolly, versus that crazy little fan that she knew since he was a little kid. It's funny, one day she came to the studio, and I mean, she was just so beautiful. And she came in, she was just in a normal little capri pants and little, sweater, tank top, and hair up. And I just said, "You just look so beautiful today. I mean, I gotta hush. I sound like too much like a fan." And she said, "Boy, you've been my fan since you was a little kid. Don't stop now because we work together."
That sounds like
She said, "Don't quit me." She said, "Don't quit." And she understands. And, but yeah, and that was how I developed getting to work with her, was through my friendship with, through my managing and working with Dottie Rambo. That's how I got to work with Dolly the first time, and then we built onto that. And I've recorded with her several times now, and hopefully we'll get to again. And I always record her songs when I get a chance with an artist if I'm producing them. And she's always been such a great, she's so thankful. No matter who the artist is, they could be the biggest star in the world or they could be a newcomer, and she's just as excited that they've cut one of her songs. It doesn't matter how big of a star they are, she's just very excited to hear the different versions. And that's how you know that she's a songwriter first.
Yes.
She always says, first and foremost, she's a songwriter. And I can tell you, she really thinks that way. And so she's a real down-home lady and really down-to-earth, and everybody that meets her just loves her. You would love her. And your viewers, of course, I know they all love her. And she's probably been there in concert in Iowa over the years. But she is, if you love Dolly on TV, you love her in person.
Yeah,
she's just the same.
Her movie that I seen there was 9 to 5. That was back in the day.
Yes.
When she produced
that
it.
was the movie my Aunt Mildred took me to.
Yes.
The first time I laid eyes on her.
Yeah.
And
oh
have
my
you
goodness.
seen her the latest one she did with Queen Latifah, the Joyful Noise?
Oh yes, that was another good one.
I wish she would make more movies. Now
Now she was good that one. Yeah. I like that one.
The NBC ones, and they were huge ratings.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And she's doing another one with NBC called Jolene, based on her song Jolene.
Oh, okay.
That she's producing with Sam Haskell, and I think actually the the Christmas movies that were such a big hit based on our childhood, I'm reading that the cast is all signed on, and if everything works out, they are going to make a TV series.
Who's going to play those? Who's going to be in the cast? You know?
Yeah, Ricky Schroeder's in it. Country star Jennifer Nettles. I can't remember the children's names, but the one that plays Dolly is a little girl. Looks just like Dolly did as a little girl, and her name is Olivia Lind, and she's on The Young and the Restless.
Oh, yes. I've seen her before.
She's a little girl on there, and she's cute as she can be.
She'd be a good one. She would be a good one. Yes.
And you know, people miss that. You know, like the Waltons and Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
Those shows that were so big. And then there was a little bit of a comeback with a series called Christie.
Yes.
And the lady that wrote Christie wrote these movies. So I think that was why they did so well, was because they were written by the Pamela Long who wrote Christie.
Right.
And you know, those type of shows always had a moral. They always ended with, you know, good versus evil type.
Oh yeah, definitely. Little House on the Prairie was one, and remember that one
the
with
values. The Waltons and so the values, I think, get shown through that, and the children love it. I was just at Dollywood over Christmas, and it was jam packed like it was in the summertime.
Really?
And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how many people were there for Christmas on one of the days we were there. And they said ever since they did those movies the last 2 years, that the park stays jam-packed because those kids saw those movies. There was a little girl actually in the gift shop, and she was just bawling her eyes out because they didn't have any Dolly souvenirs like for her age or T-shirts. You know, T-shirts that fit her. It was all grown-up stuff. And so she's getting a whole new base of children. Of course, she got a lot of that when she was on Hannah Montana, too.
Oh, that's right. She was on Hannah Montana?
Yeah, well, for about 5 episodes.
I didn't know that.
Made in and out appearances. She played Aunt Dolly. And, and Miley's Aunt Dolly.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
She's a great lady.
That's wonderful. Now, I know this, that, well, you should. I mean, since you, now you're getting into another field, I should say, talk show, you know, being syndicated, your talk show. Now, I know you should have her on as your guest.
I didn't hear you. Did I have Dolly on?
Yeah, I know your syndicated talk show I know that. Did you ever have her on your show as your guest, or are you going to get her on your show as a guest?
No, I would love to have Dolly on. I haven't yet. I haven't asked her yet because I'm kind of getting it going, you know. And I wanted it to really be on its feet before I asked her, because I always like things to be perfect for her when I get to work with her. But we have had a lot of great guests on, and we're getting, you know, when you first start out, it's harder to get a lot of
tell me about
a lot of the artists you want. So you have to go to your friends in the business, and you know, so they all do it, and then when everybody finds out, everybody wants to be on, and so I got a lot of great people that are wanting to be on. Right now we're on a little break while we do a lot of the editing, and then we have about 8 shows right now that we're editing.
Wow!
And so I'm really excited about it. This is something I always wanted to do since I was a little boy. I thought that talk shows were see, like I said, I was such an old soul as a kid.
Right.
I loved talk shows. I loved Barbara Walters' specials every year, and I loved Donahue.
Who doesn't want? Yeah.
And you know, when she first started, I loved her show. You know, and I just, you know, it's missing now because we do have great talk shows, but they only have the artist on for about 10 minutes.
Yes.
And you can't really get to know an artist. You know, if you let an artist talk, they can't even tell you what color shoes they got on in 10 minutes.
Right.
They want to really talk and explain everything about what they're doing. And so I miss that format. And when you and I grew up in that format where the talk show, he or she, when they interviewed the artist, it was all about that artist, all about what they were doing.
Exactly.
They didn't talk about themselves as, you know, and what they were doing. They talked about what the artist was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times now, I think the talk shows are more about the host than they are about the guest. And I don't want to do that. I know I'm not a star, you know.
My producers give me the look saying, like Lyle, listen to what he's saying. Okay, but no, it's not about me.
Trouble. I'm sorry.
That's but you called me out, man. You called me out. But
oh no, you do great. You do great.
Yeah, I mean,
you're doing a great job.
I do appreciate what you're saying, because I've always wanted. You know what? Truthfully, I never thought about ever doing a talk show, but I've always liked talking to people, and I always like to find out what's going on in people's lives and getting to know them and just chatting with them, that type of stuff. So it's always been my DNA to really be a people type of person. So the talk show,
me.
Yeah.
That's me, and my friend, we were at a party the other night, and one of the people that worked with the man that put on the party, he said, Larry, you're just such a social butterfly. And I said, I don't get out as much as I'd like. I really don't. But when I do get out, I do work the room and talk to everybody. But I also do that at the grocery store. And I do it everywhere I go because I genuinely love people.
Yes. And it could tell because I watched some of your clips, and you could tell that you're genuine when you talk to people, and you're so caring, and that it just shows with the camera. And you had some.
I hope so.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
That means a lot to me that you said that, because I want to, when I have somebody on, I don't want, like I said, it is my show, but I didn't even put my name in the title.
I see that.
I'm not that vain. Like I thought I could, and I think you should. That's the smartest, that's the smartest thing to do. But I got that little nickname, Mr. Nashville, through a couple people, and it stuck. And so that's why I used that. But I wanted the show to be about the people. I didn't want it to really be, about me, like what you and I were talking about. I like to sit and find out what people are doing, the heart of them, and you get better as time goes. Obviously my first interview is probably not as good as my last one, but
exactly.
You get better as you go.
Right.
You always pick on things about yourself, but as long as the guest looks good, I'm happy. I want what they want to come across. I'm not out to find any skeletons in their closet. If I made it real big and then somebody paid me some big bucks to do that, I might consider it. But for the most part, I like to promote people, and I like to give a platform to people who aren't necessarily getting the airtime that they should, because like you and I were talking about in the beginning, it's such a new wave of talent that's came around, and everybody does the little 10-minute sound rounds with everybody, and sound bites and talk show rounds. And that by the time it gets to the heart of knowing who the person is, you don't know. All you know is about their new record.
Right.
And so they don't have time for somebody that maybe hasn't hit a bunch of hits for 30 years, but maybe hasn't had one in the last 5 or 10. Those shows don't always like to put those type of people on. Well, I do. I'd rather have those people on.
I agree. You give them
because there's history there.
Yes, exactly, and they're coming back. They're very talented. They're coming back and doing their thing, and you know what? So we got 5 minutes before we have to close up, but we're going to be coming back with you on part 2 of an interview with you too, and that's why I want to get into the meat and potatoes of your show, of your talk show, syndicated talk show, and how that really started. To ask you to do that show and produce, and what it takes, because people don't realize, they see you talking, and it looks like so easy, but you got to put a lot of work in what you're doing, talking to these guys, preparing. It's a lot of work going to that. Yes, you're right. You're right, and it isn't just turn the camera on and we just wing it. We really study and
and study our guests, and I always know the people. Usually I'm a fan of whoever I'm having on. I don't have a lot of newcomers on, but not that I wouldn't. It's just that, it just hasn't happened yet. Especially when you're first trying to get the show going.
Yes, yeah.
You want to get people have heard of, and I'm probably over talking since you were. Am I still talking?
Yeah, we're talking. We're still doing a thing.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so
I didn't want to go into
the
your.
viewers
I know you were saying we were counting down a little bit. So
yeah.
And this is your show. See, the other talk show. I don't want the other talk show guy to be taken over. All them Iowa people say, "Who does this guy think he is?" Taking over the Lyle Style show.
That's right. Hey, I share the wealth, man. I share the wealth.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's just a blessing that you doing what you're doing, and I definitely appreciate that you. And I reached out to you, and you reached out to me, actually to be a part of my show.
Well, I'm
it's an
honored
honor.
to do it.
It's an honor, and you. I mean, I know your show will go far, and it's especially
And
in the
yours
country
too.
music.
Yeah, and yours too. I want yours to just be everywhere.
Well, thank you, man. It's a work in progress. Work in progress,
Yes,
like you
it
said.
is.
It don't happen overnight. You have to build your clientele, build your base, your brand, and to where people, like it and whatnot. So, but I want you to, I want to say that I just thank you for sharing what you've been sharing with me, and
Well,
and,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I want you to say, and we're gonna come back with part two of the interview with you, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the meats and potatoes, and a little bit about your worst and your best talk show that you did.
Okay.
Your worst and best.
I'll love that.
So you can let us in a little bit of some secrets and how it started a little bit, and a little bit about sharing a little bit about who's your worst interview and who's your best interview. I like to hear that type of stuff. So
Sounds good. You're gonna get me in trouble.
so it's gonna be all right. So I want you to say thank you, and so I want to thank my viewers for watching this part, and we're gonna do part two with my good friend Larry Ferguson, movie producer and syndicated talk show host, and so we'll be back with part two of the Lyle Style Show. So I want to say everybody keep styling, profiling, and we'll be right back. We'll be back with part two of the Lyle Style Show with my good friend Larry Ferguson.